Hello and welcome to session 3 of the goal setting program. In this session, we will be continuing some of the guidelines that we haven't discussed in the previous session. We have a research study will help us to understand the concepts discussed in the goal setting, what is SMART principle, how it can be used by athletes and sports person, why goal setting fails, and how can we overcome the failure of goal setting. I have a few exercises to help you understand the concept better, and finally we will be doing a recap session. Okay, so let us get started. Okay. So, in the guidelines to goal setting, as discussed earlier, we have 9 guidelines, and the guidelines 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 have been discussed in the previous session. So, let us do a very quick recap about specific goals, goals that should be specific to what you want to achieve. Use short term goals to reach your long term goals. Okay. We can use a staircase approach. Use realistic but moderately difficult goals, okay. Something that is within your purview or within your capacity of achieving. It should be realistic, so it will help you to work towards it. Plus also it should be a little difficult, something that will challenge you, something that will push you further. So, like in the words of Michael Jordan, the legendary NBA player who played for Chicago Bulls, he said that goals should never be easy, right? It should always make you work towards them. It should always make you stretch towards them. The fourth point, utilize all the 3 goals. We learnt about the outcome goal, we learnt about the process goal, we learnt about the performance goals, and how each of these 3 types of goals are unique in their own way, and they aid in helping to improve sports performance, help us to concentrate, to work on certain key aspects in our in whatever sport that we play. Fifth point, set practice as well as competition goals. Okay, so when we talk about a goal, like I had explained earlier, many people think that it is only for competition, but I ask this counter question: if you are not even done it once in your practice or twice in your practice, how do you know you are going to achieve it in the competition, right? So, we have to set practice goals, as then use them in the practice, achieve them, and then move on to the competition where you can reach your competitive goals. So, in this session, the new goals that we will be discussing, or the guidelines, will be 6, 7, 8, 9. Write down goals and monitor their progress. Set timelines to achieve your goals. Athletes must internalize the goals, and finally, you have to have a strategy to achieve your particular goal. Okay. So, let us look at what are these goals, okay, one by one. Okay. So, the 6th point here is write down the goals and monitor them. So, many sports person or athletes think that if they set a goal, their job is done, and I have a goal in hand, but it does not end there, because if you do not document it, if you do not write it down, you will probably forget it. So, let us not forget, it is the memory that is in question, right. So, some research says that approximately 50% of the new information that is learnt is forgotten within 1 hour. So, unless you write it down, it will be very difficult for you to monitor it. So, once you set a goal, write it down. Like even when I work with a lot of young athletes, when I tell them that let us work on your goals, and orally they are able to say that, and they kind of not particular in writing them down, right. So, I tell them write down your goal, okay, that way you know what you need to work on. If you look at the previous sessions where we discussed about why goal setting is important or how goal setting helps, it helps us to direct our attention, it helps us to be persistent till we reach it, and it also helps us to work towards it and put all our effort. So, how can athletes write down their goals? Basically, you can do it in 2 ways. Sometimes you can even use a index card, right. If you have a small card, you can write the goal what you want to achieve in bold. You can put it somewhere near your mirror or somewhere near in your cupboard or on your desk, somewhere where you can read it on a regular basis, so that to be reminded that you need to work on that particular goal. Or you can also use a goal setting chart, or you can use a logbook. Many players use logbook to record them because everything is written in that. And in the session 4, where we are working on developing goal setting systems for teams and individuals, you will be seeing a goal setting chart which could be used for further use. Okay. So, you have it, so you could document it, make it available to you at all points of time, so that it's a reminder to you that hey, I have to work on this particular goal, and then you can monitor them. So, you see the goal, you go for your practice, you work on that particular goal, and then you discuss with the coach, tell him that you want to work on this, and then you monitor it, you record it, you monitor it on a weekly basis or every 15 days to see your progress and how you have achieved it. The 7th point about the guideline, which is very important, is setting timelines to achieve your goals. Okay. So, I had a coach talking to me where he said that he had a very talented player, and he used to tell him that, coach, I want to work on these goals. And okay, the coach was very happy because you have an enthusiastic player who coming and saying that he wants to work on these goals, and he asked him, so boy, when do you think that you can achieve them? He says, I don't know, whenever it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So, in sports performance, the timelines are very important, because you set goals for short term goals, you set them for competitions, you set them for tournaments, you set them for a season. So, a timeline has to be is very important. So, if you set a timeline which is too long, then you will be disappointed because you're not able to achieve it. If you set a timeline, it is very short, then you don't have enough time to work on it. So, this is what sometimes it happens, like you are like want to try out a new skill, or you want to try out a new situation in sport, and you think that you have enough time to execute it in the next tournament or in the next match. Like if you are a tennis player and you started learning on a particular kind of a serve, if you are looking at a top spin serve and you just started, and maybe you're given your a timeline to complete it within maybe 3 to 4 months to perfect it, to use it in a competition, but sometimes you will not be able to do it, you will not be able to perfect the skill and learn it. So, then it becomes hard. So, the timeline is very important in so the timeline should be suitable. So, we will quickly look at one research study that has been done, which will help us understand why the time frame is very, very important. So, these researchers, okay, Tannenbaum, they did a research study on sit-up performance of participants. So, you all know what is sit-ups, right? So, they studied the participants on their sit-up ability, okay. There were 3 groups that were there. The first group got 4 weeks to, be tested on their sit-up performance. The second group were to be tested at 6 weeks, and the third group got 8 weeks to improve or to become better in their sit-up performance. So, what the researchers did is, they compared the performance of all the 3 groups at the end of 4 weeks, right. After that, they compared the performance of only 2 groups, that is the 6 weeks and 8 weeks after the 6 weeks were over. And the results of the study showed that the participants who were assigned to the 8-week goal setting program did not perform well when tested at the 4 weeks and the 6 weeks. Okay. So, their poor performance could be attributed to the fact that they given themselves an awfully long time. So, they procrastinated, right. They said, we have 8 weeks to complete and be good at our sit-up. So, why should we waste our time in 4 weeks or 6 weeks? Let us take all the 8 weeks. So, if you look at it technically, this exercise of sit-up performance could be completed within 4 weeks or even within 6 weeks. So, the research study basically tries to explain to us and tell us that we should not take more time on a task that can be completed in a lesser period of time, because if you are able to complete it in a lesser period of time, then you can devote yourself to some other activity or some other skill that could be learned. So, this research study tells us about that time frame is very important to be specified. So, look at the timeline, work with your coach, see how much time you need if you want to perfect a particular skill or you want to improve your performance on some particular technical aspect. And if you yourself are setting a timeline, then you need to work on, be realistic about when you will be able to achieve it. The next guideline that is given as per research is, athletes must accept goals set by others. When we are talking about goals accept by others, there are significant others that play a very important part for a sports person, right? Whichever sport you are in, football, basketball, tennis, volleyball, cricket, swimming, whichever significant. The significant others are your coach, your trainer, maybe your mentor, and maybe even your parent, right? So, when an athlete is unable to set a goal, or when he looks to somebody else to set a goal, the goal set either by the coach or by the trainer or by the mentor, the player must accept it as their own goal. Okay. Many times when you talk with players, they say that that's the goal set by my coach, right? It's not my goal. He set the goal. Or many of them, younger kids who are like below 17 or years of age, they normally say that no, this is not my goal. That's my parents' goal. That's my mother's goal. That's my father's goal, right? So it's unless an athlete accepts, it's also called something called as internalizing, right? That's the technical word for that, where you accept the goal as yours. So the significant others, if they set a goal for you as a player, it's very important that you accept that goal, especially coaches, because coaches are the closest contact with the player, and they know day in and day out the capabilities of the player, the skill of the player, what they can achieve. So they're constantly monitoring, they're constantly trying to help the player become better in their sport. So accepting is a very, very important aspect. So if you don't accept it, then it's a big trouble, it's a big problem, because there'll be a conflict. There'll be a conflict between what you want and a conflict between what your coach wants. So in this process of internalizing, if you think that the goal set by the coach is something could be tweaked, you could probably discuss with the coach, but it has to be accepted, because that's the only way you can work towards your particular goal. And another, in this internalizing phase, there's a very other important guideline for a coach is, the coach has to understand that there are individual differences when you work with athletes, right? They're like, you may have somebody who's highly motivated as a part of your team. So that person he or she may want to set their own goal. So, individual differences and the personality of the athlete has to be taken into consideration while setting the goal. So there are athletes who like to set, or players who like to set their own goal. There are some players who want coaches or others to set their goals, right? So depending upon the personality of the player, depending upon the motivation of the player, depending upon the need of the player, the coach can also work accordingly, because that's the only way you can get the best out of the athlete, because there won't be much of a conflict. The next guideline is strategize your goal achievement, right? So in the previous session, we looked up the staircase approach, where you have a baseline performance, you set intermediary steps or intermediary goals, finally till you reach your terminal goal. So you have to strategize your goal achievement, right? What is the strategy? What am I going to do? Suppose you are you want to lift weights, or if you are a weight lifter, you want to lift, say hypothetically, you want to lift 270 kgs weight, and you cannot at first start with 270, right? You have to think or formulate a plan about how you are going to reach it. So what is your baseline? If you were lifting 250, then you lift 250 for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then slowly increase it by maybe 2-3 kgs. See, depending upon how you are progressing in your goal attainment or goal achievement, you can make incremental changes, incremental steps in order to arrive at the finally at the desired or the terminal goal. There may be situations, if you don't strategize, then it's very difficult. You have to go according to plan, right? Planning is a very important tool in sports, because that's the only way you can get somewhere or see yourself going anywhere. So strategizing the goal is a very, very important concept. Closely associated with guideline is a very important and a very powerful principle, which is called the SMART, S-M-A-R-T. It's an acronym, and SMART principle is something that is advocated, something used by everybody in the sporting field, even in the corporate, or even in various facets of life, because this is a guideline for how our goal should be set. So the acronym SMART, S stands for a specific goal, okay, something that is precise, something that tells you this is what you need to do, you do not have to think too much about it, you work towards it. It has to be measurable, right. So, if you set a goal, like let us take a simple example, like where we talk, or like you want to reduce your weight, right. Right now you are 65 kgs, you want to bring down your weight to 63 kgs. Now, that is a very specific goal, you want to measure it. You can, after a week or 10 days, stand on a weighing scale and see whether you have reduced your weight. That is what we mean by measurable. Like setting a goal like I want to lose weight does not give you anything, it is a very vague, you cannot even measure it because you are not specified what are the dimensions for which you want to measure it. A stands for action oriented. So, when a goal is set, it should make a player, it should make an athlete work towards that goal, push themselves. It should be dynamic, it should make their practice sessions so motivating, so dynamic, so it should be in such a way that they are able to work towards the goal, right. It should not be like a static goal, it has to be dynamic in nature. So, you always constantly moving towards that particular goal. R stands for realistic, okay. As we all know, based upon what our baseline performance is, we have to set goal so that it can be achieved by us. It has to be realistic, something that is too over beyond what we can achieve is not going to help us, it does not come under the purview of SMART principle. T is the timely goal, right. We just discussed a concept where we talked about timeline should be specified, so timely, and the goal should be also set in a certain period where it has most meaning, right. Suppose you are going to participate in some university tournament, or you have just completed participating in a university tournament and your next university tournament is going to be the following year. Setting a goal now is good, but the time period and the time frame for when a goal has to be set should sync with the tournament, should sync with the the competition. So, being timely, when the goal has to be set, when is it the appropriate time to set this particular goal is a very important concept. Like for example, if you are in off season, okay, so in sports you do have the off season and you have the off season, you have the pre-season and then you have the season. So, there is no point about trying to set a timely goal during the season because you do not have time to work on goals. You have to look at your off season and little bit of your pre-season to set goals and to work on them. So, the timing of the goal is very important because that is the only way you will be able to reach the goal. So, the SMART principle, a very important concept that has been. So, we have here J.U. Anderson just giving a little explanation about his goals and how he uses goals for his cricketing performance.
So sometimes when things don't go my way, I tend to use specific strategies which helps me enhance my performance, such as multiple goal strategy, which includes a SMART strategy, whereas S stands for specific goals, M stands for measurable goals, A stands for action-oriented goals, and R stands for realistic goals, and T stands for timely goals.
So, we discussed what are the guidelines, we discussed the SMART principle. Now, let us look at why goal setting fails. Okay. There is no hard and fast rule that every goal that we set has to be achieved, right. So, but still goal setting fails because there are certain mistakes that are committed by us, there are mistakes committed by players, by coaches, by trainers, by mentors, etc., right. So, in order to understand how we can overcome this, firstly let us look at why goal setting fails. The first point here on the monitor is goals are vague, right, being very generic in nature, right. I want to lose weight, I want to be a better player, I want to be a better basketball player, I want to be a better volleyball player, I want to be a better tennis player. These are all very generic and very vague, right. They do not give you any kind of direction, they do not give you any kind of path that you have to follow. So, this is one of the reasons why goal setting fails, and goal should not be very vague, as you all know. The second point is no goal achievement plan. Remember, we talked about having a strategy to achieve the plan, right, achieve your goal. How are you going to achieve it? What is your process involved? What is your plan involved? So, in the very first session we spoke about and I explained to you that goal setting involves two very important functions. One is motivation and the other one is cognition, and cognition is the thinking concept that is there, and when we set goal it sets us to be thinking, right. So, if you do not think how you are going to achieve it, if you do not think how you are going to work towards it, goals can not be achieved and goals can fail. Failure to adjust the goals, like every goal set need not be achieved, right. There are times when there is something that stops you from achieving a goal. So, we have to learn to adjust the goals, right. How do you work on it? How do you, if you do not achieve, how do you adjust it? The next aspect is not monitoring your progress. So, you have set a goal, but you are not monitoring your progress, right. You want to see where you are, you want to see whether you have made improvements, you want to see whether you have, there is some quantum progress from what you set the goal initially and what you are now after 3 weeks. Whether it is to improve your shooting percentage, whether it is to improve your serve percentage, your spiking percentage, your swimming ability, whatever goal that is set, you have not monitored your progress. So, you really do not know in quantity wise or even in measurable terms where you are at this particular moment. The other concepts that are very important is players get easily discouraged. Okay. So, one of the first problems in goal setting is getting people to set goals, right. So, many times when I talk to athletes, I talk to sports persons, tell them that goal setting is an important thing. Many people do not believe in goal setting, and they think that goals do not help, etc., and they have some kind of a understanding about goal setting. So, discouragement, why does this happen, right? Because they would have got discouraged in some situation where they have set a goal. And why does discouragement happen, right? Discouragement can happen because goals can be very difficult. The goal that they have set is very difficult and they have not probably been able to achieve it. So, they feel that goal setting is not helpful to me. So, they get discouraged, focusing only on outcome goals, right. So, only on the end result, only on the end part, the outcome of an event, the outcome of a match, I have to win or I have to outclass this person, I have to beat this person, I have to win the medal is the outcome goal. So, when you do not achieve the outcome goal, leading to discouragement. Third aspect, too many goals. So, some athletes are very enthusiastic, right. They want to work on all the goals, they want to see improvement in all the goals in every area that you play, right. So, most of the sports that you play involves so many technical skills, right. To be a perfect tennis player or a basketball player, either you are a good rebounder or you are a good offensive shooter. There are so many aspects that are there. You need to work all in all, right. You need to be good in every aspect, offense, defense. So, when you have too many goals that you set, it kind of, when you do not achieve, it leads to discouragement. The last aspect is poorly written statements. See, goals can be said that they are statements, okay, and like when you write them down, you write them as a statement. So, when the goal is very poorly written, goal setting can fail. So, let us look at this example here of what is a poorly written statement and how the goals can be rewritten. So, we have the 3 goals: process goal, performance goal and the outcome goal, and for each of these goals, let us look at the poorly written goal. So, this is about a tennis player. In the process goal, the player has written a goal of improve tennis backhand. Okay. So, the goal improving tennis backhand, okay, is also generic in nature, because what do you want to improve in that? That has to be specified. So, the goal is rewritten to say, I want to execute my backhand with a firm wrist and with the elbow pointed down. Maybe you are not having a very firm grip, right? Maybe you are holding the racket very loose, so you need to work on that. Maybe your elbow was not pointed down, that is why you are not getting precision in your shots. Maybe the ball was going somewhere else where it is not meant to be, and the opponent could return the shot very easily or take your one backhand shot. The second goal is the performance goal. Okay. So, the performance goal, as we all know, talks about the benchmark or your personal goal that you set for your competition or match. Improve first serve effectiveness. So, improve first serve effectiveness. Effectiveness is again has to be defined, right. It's kind of very it's general, you have to specify it. So, that particular goal about the first serve is rewritten into serve no less and no more than 60% of the first serves into the court by the end of the third tournament. So, you are giving precision and you are giving exactly, it is also measurable, right. If you look at from the SMART principle, you are also, so rewriting the goal in a very specific manner, it is very clear to you what you need to do and where you want to be by the end of the third tournament. Outcome goal, again it is about winning and losing. Poorly written statement is improve my win and loss percentage, okay. So, improve my win loss or reduce my loss percentage again is a very abstract way of explaining what you want to do. So, the goal is rewritten to say I want to maintain by number 2 ranking on the team and win at least 5 out of 7 matches over the last year. So, here you are seeing an improvement in your performance, as also you are not only talking about winning or losing, but you are also talking about your ranking. So, this example tells us how poorly written statement cannot give us clarity, cannot give us direction. So, when you write your statement poorly or when you make a goal which is not giving you clarity and you are not able to achieve it, can also lead to discouragement for the player. So, here we have a small exercise, just you have to, there are 4 statements, we have to read it and answer whether they are true or false. So, we will quickly spend a few seconds to go through that and also work on our answers. Set goals only for competitions, set moderately difficult goals. Once goals are set, nothing needs to be done. Goals should be set in such a way that they can be measured. Set goal only for competitions, okay. I will put an F here because that is false, okay, you need to set it for practice. Set moderately difficult goals, it is true, okay, because it should be challenging. Once goals are set, nothing needs to be done, that is false, right, because you need to work out a strategy, you need to work out a plan to achieve the goal. Goals should be set in such a way that they can be measured, that is true. So, it is a part of the SMART principle, you have to measure your goals. So, this slide gives you the answers. So, I think you would have had a good understanding about how to differentiate and understand, okay. So, next we will be learning about how do we overcome failure of goal setting. So, the key aspect for a coach, for a mentor, for a trainer or even for a player for themselves is we need to educate the athletes that goals may need to be reworked. So, that is the first principle we need to follow when we work on a goal setting plan, that hey, there is a possibility that you may not be able to achieve the goal that you set, but there is no need to get discouraged, there is no need to get disappointed. You only have to rework the goal and probably set another goal so that you can work on it. So, like injuries or any kind of time off from sports is a common feature. So, you have set a goal that I want to achieve, I am going to participate in a tournament in the next 4 weeks, I want to work on a certain particular skill. But unfortunately, during your training, you may have some ankle injury or you may have some muscle pull or you may have some shoulder injury, elbow injury, where you will be out of the sport maybe for a week or 2 and you may not be able to achieve that goal, desired goal in 4 weeks. So, you have to take into consideration all this when you are a player and when you are a sports person. So, get educated about it, and also in the scope of playing a particular game, right. So, if you are in, let us take a game of basketball where you have set a benchmark for yourself, a performance goal that you want to score say 20 points, but in the beginning of the game you start missing out on certain easy baskets, you have not got into the rhythm of the game. So, there is nothing to worry, you cannot think that you are not going to achieve your 20 points, it is okay, never mind. You can think that I have not achieved, I am not being able to score, I have not been successful. So, what I can do is probably work on my defense, right. So, your goal can shift to something else, I can work on my defense, or you can say that it is okay, I will let my goal be I will score 15 points or I will score 10 points. So, depending upon the situation, athlete can also learn to modify their goal, work on their goals. Second aspect, again a repetition of what we have already discussed, work out your plans to achieve them, right. So, though we talk a lot about goal and about planning and about strategizing, goals fail because you do not follow those particular procedure or particular systems that are in play. The third aspect, monitor your goal progress. As we know, week to week, 15 days, very important to monitor, especially when you are looking at sub elite and elite athletes. Every week of your training is very important because you are you're playing tournaments for most part of the year. Like you train, you play. Like in tennis, usually they train for about 4 weeks, then they play for 3 weeks back to back tournaments, again they come back to train. So if you set a goal for that 4 weeks, you need to monitor to see where you're heading and what kind of a progress that you're doing, because you don't get discouraged or you don't get disheartened. Use the SMART principle or the acronym to overcome getting discouraged, and set 1 or 2 goals, right. Don't be over enthusiastic and see that you'll be the best player within a short period of time, right. It takes years and years of practice, as we all know, if you want to be even at the elite or the professional level, and there it's also you're making mistakes, there itself also you undergo failure, so you need to come back. So if you're a player who's playing at the intermediate level or even who's playing little bit at the advanced level, make sure that you set goals that you can achieve. Once you work on 1 or 2 goals, get an experience of working on those goals, then you can set multiple goals for yourself at a time. Don't focus only on the outcome goal. The medal isn't the only thing that you can achieve, right. You can get satisfaction, you can have your personal achievement also accomplished during a match. So it's not only the outcome goal. What are the benefits of goal setting? Humongous benefits are there. It improves our performance. You can see the quantum improvement in your performance. It improves the quality of practice. Okay, so you're looking forward to do something challenging every day. So it improves the quality of your practice. It makes you work towards it. It makes you become knowledgeable about certain things. You read up, you ask questions to your coach. So there's something that you look forward to, and because you make it challenging, it reduces the boredom. Sometimes practice can get boring because day in and day out, 24/7, players are practicing, players are wanting to improve themselves. It improves your motivation. That is one of the first benefit what goal setting is, right. It's all about motivation. So it pushes you, it gives you that inner drive that I need to do something for myself, I need to be a better player, I need to stand out, that kind of a motivation. Improves your self confidence, right. You set a goal, you achieve it, it kind of pumps you up, you are on cloud 9, improves your self confidence. You can go for a match or a competition or even your practice with that much of self confidence than when you had not achieved your goal. And then you have your pride, okay, that pushes you, you feel you feel on top of the others because you are achieving your goals, and also gives you a sense of satisfaction. So we have a small reflective exercise here which will help us understand and put all the concepts that we have learned during this session into place. So Raju is a volleyball player. Below are some of his goals. Indicate if it is correct or wrong, and if you feel it's wrong, explain why. So there are 4 statements here. Raju wants to improve the volleyball game. Don't know when I can reach my goals. I set practice and competition goals. The 4th one, so here on your screen are the answers for each of these statements. So the first one is a wrong because the goal is very general in nature. Volleyball has got many skills to be learned, so specific goal has to be set. The second one, I don't know the timeline, it's wrong because we have to set a timeline to achieve the goals. The third question is, you have to set both practice as well as competition goals, so it is correct. The 4th one is wrong, okay. The goal set by my coach is not the goal that I want to accept, it's wrong. We have to accept the goal that are set by our coach. So this gives you an understanding about all the guidelines, all the benefits, and even the SMART principle that is being used in sport. So slowly now we come here to the end of this session 3, and let us quickly look at a recap of what we have studied in this session. We looked at the guidelines, okay, totally 9 guidelines, and we had already discussed a few of them and we completed the guidelines, okay, setting timelines, strategizing and internalizing the goals that has been set by the coach or set by the significant others. Why goal setting fails? Goals are vague, you do not monitor your progress, you get discouraged because your goals are too many or they are too difficult, or you work only on the outcome goals. And the last aspect what we discussed is how can we overcome goal failure. The most important concept is being educated about your goals, that it is okay to fail, it is okay not to achieve your goals, but you need to just rework them, readjust the goals is a very fundamental principle that coaches as well as players must learn. So, this comes to the end of session 3. I look forward to meeting you all in the next session, which will be a discussion session with a coach and also a former player. Thank you.